Well, welcome to Awakening Sovereignty, the mini workshop that is loaded with very beautiful sharings that I've accumulated over many years and have finally brought to the world. I really hope it's going to take the world by storm because I haven't seen a lot of workshops on sovereignty that actually speak about divine feminine wisdom that is intrinsic to all of us. We're all on this beautiful lifelong quest, and that is ultimately a quest for more freedom and really living our purpose of what our soul came here to be. And we somehow know that this is real. We somehow understand that that is part of our human journey. And this workshop is about how we can unlock more of that freedom that is innate and that is there from within. What we will be covering today is to learn about this English language that, quite frankly, has been very patriarchally driven. And we are going to learn about true feminine sovereignty as I see it, because it relies on wisdom streams that aren't taught either in school, in Western society at large, or in any of the sovereignty movement orientated pathways. We're going to learn about lotus birth and what it is, why it is important, and why it benefits being seen as a very healthy natural standard. And then we're going to be talking about the will awakening process. Sovereignty is also known as freedom. It's a beautiful sound. Both are very beautiful. But really, they are feeling-based states. Today, we're going to provide training and insight in really foundational sovereignty wisdom, so that really, ultimately, we can spend more of our time cultivating that freedom, that love, and that joy from within, as opposed to looking outside of ourselves for freedom that we may find by maybe studying more of this or learning how to read the law dictionary. I have for myself reclaimed freedom to a huge degree. Hence, I'm sitting here today and I get to share on this topic so passionately. I've been really, really shaken awake, so to speak, already many years ago. I really kind of woke up to the reality that I was operating on programs, colonized ideas and belief systems. And I have been so empowered to really heal from these distortions. Really regained in that my will to really live life on my terms in paradise, where I've chosen not to just leave the Netherlands, but also in the end leave Australia. To now live in Bali, where I have a beautiful, beautiful life. I've, through my reclamation of freedom, I've really entered into this lane of talking about sovereignty, talking about love, talking about syntropy. And that really aligns with my values, because my heart really goes out to humanity at large, because I understand that these program belief systems of the Matrix aren't actually providing us full enlivened expansion of who we came here to be. I feel so much more clear than I've ever been, because I had a lot of unexamined assumptions around freedom, and I learned really what it actually never really was, which is an interesting thing to say, because once we start pulling freedom apart, it's like, well, what does it actually mean? It's a personal feeling that we have around it. I have returned in the work of the healing, the releasing of trauma, and really seeing through a lot of the illusions. I've really found a unique and peaceful love that is just a presence within. One great thing is that the external authorities don't really have a hold on me anymore, which was really related a lot to my own birth trauma, where I was hard-handled and where I experienced inflictions of pain that I carried throughout my life that only got stacked upon. And by clearing the trauma associated to that, the authorities outside of me are just seen for what they are, fantasies. And that may sound a bit weird, but we'll get into that. I've become the director of my own journey. I've learned to take greater risks. I lived out in the bush for 2 years. It's just insane and so beautiful. And I've really magnetized a lot of new experiences for my growth and expansion by really doing the inner work. And the inner work meaning coming back to freedom, restoring freedom from within. Here's some pictures of me out in that beautiful, raw, natural environment where there was no billboard inside for 4 hours driving. I've really been templating out models and ways for community living with the orientation to really make it about how do we really facilitate healthy raising of younglings in those environments, in that ecology. I love giving trainings on Syntropic agroforestry. I've been doing this locally here in Bali, training up young youth that is looking for answers and getting opportunities to study permaculture and Syntropic agroforestry. I have a beautiful, beautiful relationship with this amazing woman, Colleen, and we get to cultivate so much joy, so much aliveness for us. And yeah, this is what life and freedom can bring about in beautiful ways. And for everybody, that's of course unique to your individual being. I just know that there's a lot that is still accessible, and that is mostly accessible within. Now, before we get started, we're going to be challenging some old beliefs or maybe some unexamined assumptions about what we may know reality to be like. Also, this idea of authority is going to be addressed, and birth is also being spoken to. We're going to make everything super simple, and that is because our nature is not complex. We're going to be using words like syntropy and trauma and cult programming and your will in particularly a lot, because as you may have noticed in the emails going out, there's a lot to talked about around the will, which is what is intimately tied to our sense of our own sovereignty. We're going to help you see empowered pathways that really align with your values for freedom, not mine. You know, for me, that means living in Bali, being able to get on my scooter, drive through the beautiful rice field pathways and sip on a virgin daiquiri somewhere up in a beautiful place. For others, this looks exactly what is really alive and what's really attractive to you. And what I really hope that you get out of it is that you can start seeing a pathway that really aligns with those values for freedom. We're going to talk about how we can continue navigating together. There is a deeper invitation today. And as you see, there's a rose, a book, and a bird. It's a little dove that I put behind that are just little prompts and reminders for me to speak to some of the bonus materials, speak to some of the resources that are all part of this mini workshop that you're going to get access to once we come to the other side. And there also will be a guided meditation practice that is related to your will and how we can use our will to navigate what I call the internal landscape. What is really good to know when we talk about the will is that your willingness to attend this mini workshop is proof that you're already using your will. And of course, you have been using your will in so many ways. But I just wanted to affirm that the choice and the choosing to show up somewhere it really means that you're listening to an inner self knowing, an inner knowing, those nudges from your soul. Because when you check in with yourself and you feel like, what was it that signed me up for this? What were the words? Was it just sovereign saying, hey, I'm doing this? Or was there something inside of you that knew that because of the language being used, there is something that you felt really called to participate? And the reason that I emphasize that is that our will is feeling based. There's an attraction from within that becomes a yay, and that yay then got you to sign up. And so you're already doing that, but today we're really going to be building on that.